How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Playmakers View. I'm your host, as always, Jamie Burdish. I appreciate you guys joining the show. Today's guest is Dane Hughes. Dane is a multimedia specialist, does a lot with different local high schools, creating hype videos for their football team and all that good stuff. I want to do this with Dane because he has experience coaching, but he also has this experience, which I think is really cool. Another one of those episodes that shows you the other side of sports that some of us don't really realize are pretty important to what we see on a daily basis. And, we all love a hype video and stuff like that. So for people who are wanting to get into it, this will be a good episode for you guys as well. So I hope you guys learn a lot from him and enjoy this episode. But without further ado, here we go. All right, guys. So like I said, I have Dane Hughes joining the show. First off, thank you, Dane, for joining the podcast. It's an honor to have you on here. I want to let you introduce yourself to the fans and the audience out there. So can you give us a little brief overview about yourself and kind of what you're doing right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. Once I saw you called your guests Playmakers, I could not pass up that opportunity. So here I am, and thanks for having me. So, yeah, I guess a quick overview about me is obviously like many of your guests, played sports my whole life, basketball and baseball in high school and baseball in college. So, it's been a big part of my life, and got an opportunity to coach some in college as well for 8 years. And during that time, I've kind of always had the media background. But that time, whenever you're a college coach, you kind of do a little bit of everything, from, the X's and O's all the way down to promoting your team. So I kind of started getting into that because of that. And it's kind of just grown from there to from anywhere from photo to video to graphic design, social media, from there on.
Yeah. So like you said, it kind of just started from there. I want to ask you a little bit about how it started. I think you told me a little bit about a few weeks ago we talked about this, and you started just taking photos, recording with your friends. How do you think you've grown from that first stage of you not really knowing what you're doing to what you do today? What went into all that preparation to grow and develop at the multimedia stage, and what have you learned over the course of your experiences?
Yeah, so I basically started. We in college we had very little wiggle room for electives, and one of the elective classes I took was a intro to video class, and it was very very intro level, and that kind of just sparked me and a couple of my buddies. Um, got into it, and we kind of had our own little group where we film stuff. And we, to be honest, like for people will always say like, well, I don't have the right camera, all this. We started on VHS. That's all the school would let us use. And I'm kind of dating myself a little bit back when I was in college, but yeah, but we started there, and it's kind of just it's been a journey of um, seeing something I like, and then just going out and researching on the internet, on YouTube, how to do it. And I guess I'm just kind of been always the person of learning by jumping in there and doing. And so I learned very early too that looking back on some of the stuff we've made, like the cinematography was not good, but it did pretty well because the content was there, and people enjoyed the content. And I think that's been a big lesson, from then all the way to now, is creating good content.
Yeah, so I want to talk to you about that content that you create, and where does that love and that passion come from? Is there something that gets you really excited about? You do hype videos, you do all different kind of things, weddings. What really gets you going about that stuff? Being able to provide content for your clients, and just where does that joy come from that it makes you do this?
I would say there's kind of a couple pillars in this. It's the turning your kind of your memories into something that's into media. That's something that you can have, whether that's like a senior poster that you can look back on, or a video, because as the years go by, those memories start to fade a little bit. So it's nice to have something tangible. And I do get a lot of joy in still being around the sport, still being around athletes, and um, and they put in a ton of time and effort. And unless you are, an athlete or a coach, people really just don't understand. And so that if I can just give back a little bit to help, promote them, give them something, I get a lot of joy in that. Whenever, years go by and you still see people, resharing, on this date, and they're sharing something that you made for them, 5 years ago, and they're able to, start talking about some of the memories. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So, what are your plans kind of for the future? Obviously, this is a bit of a side job for you. Well, for the sports aspect of it, where do you want this to lead to? I guess I'm assuming you'll be doing this for many years, but do you have an ultimate goal? You want to give people good content, like you said, good memories, all that stuff. But when you started this, was there something behind the idea of why you do it?
That's a really good question. And obviously, I'm not any rush to push out of what my day job is, because I really do enjoy that part. But um, the the world of content and social media is always changing, so it keeps you on your toes. Kind of what's hot or not, and you can really see the push down from um, things that are in the big leagues, or just pushed down to high level Division 1, and then throughout the colleges and on down now it's into high school. So um, I don't know if there's an end goal, but my end goal, I guess, would be is seeing through, maybe be able to create content, maybe with some partnerships, where people get some value, some local business get some value, and the reach some of this stuff is getting. And so that basically the content for the players and the families and the teams and the schools can be greatly reduced.
Yeah, that's great. One of the last things I want to ask you is what is the importance of this? Not just for the memories and stuff, but you see all this content created, and you talked a lot about the social media. Everything's moving to social media and to like video, all this stuff. So when you watch sports, when you see a hype video, things like that, what do you think that does for sports in general? And like, how has when you first started, how have things improved? And what have you learned through your experience that's like, or maybe something eye opening that when you first started is completely different from things now because our world really is shifting. So why do you think that matters?
This could be a full day topic, but I'll try to give you a as quick of answer as I can. I think there's an extreme value in promoting your school, your team, your players, um, and whatever they do that that's positive. You get a chance to paint that picture for the world to see. And it really grows well past just that group or that team or that player. The reach that you can get um, by just promoting a game or whatever across the country within a few clicks is pretty amazing. And the value that creates is crazy for something that's relatively inexpensive to produce. Um, and it's very indirect, but I think when you continue it, it really reaps the benefits for the school and the team.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of benefits to this. One last question I have for you. You talked a lot about the way you got into this multimedia and your job. So for people out there looking to do something like this, personally myself, I enjoy the idea of creating content like this. So would you have a word of advice for someone who's just getting started or wants to maybe improve their multimedia skills in any aspect? I mean, this can be on social media, this can be creating videos as a photographer. But what is one piece of advice that you would give someone trying to get into the world of multimedia?
Really, I'm a big believer in the always be learning, never stop, always looking to better yourself. And we live in an awesome time for the same reason this job, the demand for this exists, is because the internet is the same way you can educate yourself, for free, basically, through finding things on the internet, trial and error. And I guess my main thing would be is to you got to invest in yourself, and that might be your time. It might not be using even your money, just your time to invest in yourself to do something that you really enjoy, and you can kind of give back and build value for someone else, and maybe even solve some pain points for them. Because it gets down to the sports promotion. They get the coaches. There's so much for them to do. A lot of them understand it's important, but their bread and butter is coaching and motivating and strength and conditioning, those type of things. And so to be able to find a niche and provide the service for them is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I want to thank you so much for coming on to the show. Hope the viewers out there learned a lot. And like I said, if there's people wanting to get into multimedia, you heard a lot of great advice here. And our world's trending to that side of things. So it is definitely a great career to get into. But thank you guys so much for joining the podcast. Hope you guys learned a lot and hope you guys are doing well. So we'll be back with you guys next week for another episode.